Hello, friends. My name is Rocky Outcrop. I like to help people achieve financial freedom through trading and becoming a good trader. Since January 2020, I've been on a mission to help people do just that. It's been going very well so far. Welcome to the show. Let's talk technical analysis. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi. I wanted to go with a little bit of a different intro today. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Nice to see you in there, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Purple Haze, Ruler's Odd, good to see you in there. Nice to see you catching up with everybody that's blocked you. Good to see. Marius Luciano. Nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you, D Savvy. Nice to see you. Bloodshot Blinkers. Good morning from Canada. Good morning, my friend. Okay, it's good to see you all. And we see we've already got a request in there to take a look at a particular stock. That is TRCH. Coming in from Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Let's take a look at that. And we will be taking a look at our good pals AMC, GME. GME here today. Not having a fantastic day, but being above $200 is pretty good. As we can see on the weekly time frame, we are down here in the midpoint of the Keltner channel when it's set to 10, and that red line there is a 10-period simple moving average, and we have dropped down to that prices at the minute. So obviously we're pushing the concept of the old cup with handle a little bit here, but that's fine. We haven't broken below the 10-period simple moving average there on the weekly time frame, and that's one of the things that we would look to start thinking that it would become less likely. So we'll keep an eye out for that over the next wee while. As you can see here, though, we are, of course, in this overall channel and in the top side of it, and that is good. This is more or less conceptually a pretty good map of the psychology, I believe, throughout the period of the last 6 months with regards to GME, seeing the extended price action going far above the upper band here, but overall continuing to stay more or less within this, trending towards the top side. Over here with AMC, as you can see, we're clearly extended quite beyond that. The clear hopes are at the minute, of course, to see a short squeeze occur on this stock. But of course, we are as well going to have to remain wary overall in terms of pullbacks, and we could easily see a pullback to the likes of 37 still here, without actually really kind of breaking below any of these other status lines, if you like, that we're seeing on GME, for example, just here. So it would be good to see positive price action on these. And when we look down towards the lower time frames, we're not getting a good deal of that. Thank you so much to Daniel Lesage. You murdered a whole ecosystem. Take the TAM 5. Thank you so much. Yes, I did. It's the new face. Rocky Outcrop 2.0. It's still tea time with Rocky. No tea, that's fine, half coffee. Tea time with Rocky. No tea, that's fine, half coffee. But I've freshened up the old face there. Looking 10 years younger. Right. So those are the broad term strokes with regards to these two stocks, and we will come back and narrow in on these and catch up with things like what we're seeing over here on the 4-hour time, 4-hour over here high on the 4-hour Northern Irish tendency slipping through there. So we, as we're seeing on the 4-hour time frame, not fantastic price action, but of course this has been more positive towards the end of the day, and we're of course looking for this to kind of come up above these two lines and try and finish in the high 50s. And we are of course still quite satisfied to see this down there, above 50. So good. Having actually been experiencing lows today so far at 53.43. So good to see, and that's a nice resurgence towards the end of the day. Power hour looking so far like it could be good. Nice to see you in there, Rocco Croupy. Good day, Rocky. Missed the live cocktail stream the other night. Try and catch the next one. Keep up the great work. Cheers, Tumbler Glass. Thanks so much for the Tumbler Glass, Rocco. Really do appreciate it, my good friend. Right, yeah. Thanks. So we are going to be we're going to be keeping an eye out for that level. If I just flip over to the Hikinashi candles here, you can see, of course, in terms of the structure here with regards to the price action having not taken out previous highs, we still don't actually have a green candle on the go there. You know, waiting for this to kind of get that resurgence look and feel to it. And you can see the same sort of thing, of course, in terms of like tiny time frame stuff here on the point and figure chart, which of course was brought to my attention that they've actually updated Trading View by Jamie here, who's telling me about this. I was keeping an eye out for this upgrade. As you can see here, of course, you know, as yet, essentially we're looking here at $54 and saying that things are pretty rosy above there. Nothing has really changed as yet, and we're still looking to take out the sort of $60 area, 61, $62 to actually start to really kind of move towards the top side. Really overall there, and that's fairly clear, I think, across the board. So back over to the yawn regular candles, hitting auto, put it on log just for when I zoom back out in a moment or two. We'll be checking in with all this sort of stuff towards the close of the day. GME here in the 5-minute time frame, it's looking all right, but going up towards the 4-hour time frame. And doing the same sort of thing here, you can see, of course, so far we're just tracing this towards the downside, looking for that resurgence, which hasn't really come around yet. Of course, the afternoon session so far has been pretty good. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, by the way, to everybody, no matter where you are in the world. It is, of course, evening here. Nice to see you in the chat there, Luke Spears. Good to see you, Kevin. Good to see you, Corey. Good to see you, Andy. Maurice, Eugene, Cami, and all sorts out there. Aye, that's right, the rulers. Oh, they did. They destroyed the whole ecosystem, as Daniel was saying. The Zig, no more John what? No more John Wark? No more John Wark. Right. I missed the reference, but that's right. Down with John Wark. So, those are them and that request that came in earlier on. So, of course, everybody knows. I think it was Torchlight you were talking about. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that if you want me to take a look at a particular currency, forex pairing, stock, share, whatever commodity, or of course cryptocurrency as well, then definitely give me a wee shout out there, and I will be doing the rounds, looking at the ones that I usually look at. Anyhow, trying to keep everything nice and clear and simple as well today, without going too overboard on any detail, and being appreciative of the entire broad spectrum of the audience out there. I hope that you liked that video that I put out over the weekend, which was the clip from the previous live with regards to high and lows and an introduction to indicators, and you found some value there. So if you did, and all that, and you like the sort of stuff that we do here on the channel, be sure to hit that like button. And there we go, more brownie points for me in YouTube heaven if I ever make it there. In the end, just trying to keep up with the old rules there. So right, great. That's the Torchlight. I'm just double checking here. TRCH. And yeah, whoa, big move up here in the 4-hour time frame. What do we start off here? 640 up. Let's take off this for now. We're not looking at we're just hide that. This is the 4-hour time frame. That's the 10-period simple moving average. We're obviously miles above that. Main question on this one at the minute is whether or not we obviously come back in for a to fill this gap, or if this functions as a breakaway gap. Now, we've seen this, of course, before. The idea that we could maybe come back down and retest these areas, as is common in this scenario. Hope you've seen in recent videos in the past, we've talked about this with regards to GME and AMC as it happens. Here we are looking at it on a different chart, and you can see that this is frequently the case. So could we see some sort of pullback at some point? Well, it does happen quite often in this scenario, as you can see previously. And then it's a question of whether you sort of, in a sense, you defend that gap area or not on this one. At the minute, of course, very positive, and you could look for higher moves up. You could, but that's something to be very aware of. I think that that's something to be aware of, just first glance style. Let's take a look down at the 1-hour time frame and compare these highs off. As we can see, we've got some bearish divergence there, and that's where that gap is down below. So the gap does go down as far as 635. Just the idea of it coming down towards 830 doesn't seem to be completely out of the question here. We've come up and we've tested off the 50 area on the DMI, pulled back down the way, and that is definitely something that I would be looking out for if I was wanting to try and get any sort of if there was looking for an edge in this one at the moment. With regards to then, can we continue up in this most recent movement up the way? Well, we're doing what we need to do so far if we want to kind of discount this period just here as having been the prior high and actually go in and put in higher highs, and of course give us the chance to just kind of move on up the way and not actually experience the divergence, playing out as it were, and going in for that next move up the way. So that's still on, absolutely, but it's maybe time to think about how you would manage your risk on that, as well as we look towards our prior high. So really, we can see here that while we are putting in a higher high at the moment, things do get really could move again on for the next zone after sort of 10.97. We take out that $11 area. If that's possible here, that's kind of what would be required, in fact, to kind of put it in without having these negative kind of things overhanging us here. Then we'd be flying off to the races. As it stands, I'm looking at this kind of feeling like we're on for that pullback. Overall, it's a nice looking chart then, anyhow. So up there on the daily time frame, we can see that we've moved on up the way here, putting in higher highs, which indeed themselves are not bearishly divergent. No matter what happens here in the next wee while, it looks to be the case that that's probably going to be locked in there for us nicely. So we have got a nice trending chart here by looks of things. Overall, good strength over there on the DMI down below that as well. 3-day time frame, bringing in, coming in here for this higher high. Now, are we due a pullback on this one? We'll probably, at some point, but how far up have we come with regards to our prior movements? And I would say that just kind of giving this a quick look, is that at that 1618? Oof, it's bang on it. There it is, so conceptually, if we were to be looking at this from a risk reward point of view, there's a good side to be a good edge as well, to be sure, in terms of somewhere in this region to be looking at taking a short position to come down towards testing off that gap with perhaps the potential to be making a move of $3 on that one. Bearing in mind that we could still push on for these just to continue on and keep on getting up higher. We would kind of need to, in a sense, on this 3-day time frame, just a little bit. So I would be looking out for that and celebrating the moves that's happened so far. That's a good looking chart, and hopefully we can get some more movements towards top side. With regards to the overall picture on this one from a broader point of view, here's the weekly time frame. As you can see, we are actually in the all-time high territory, so that's fantastic. Actually, getting the divergences that have happened here within all-time highs is kind of more or less to be expected. You're in a region where you're going to find different kind of operating conditions. So to have that and then actually then get continuation on afterwards is not completely not outside the bounds of reason. Shout out to Tool fans. And then if you were to draw this down, highs to lows, then yeah, so if we are to continue up the way, 1795 is your next overall target. Managing your sort of entries in this one is going to probably pay off for you if you're able to do that. But with a blind look up the way and a bullish rose tinted glasses on, then I'm looking up towards $18, just shy of it to be not too greedy. That's that one. So what do we have here? Didn't miss any what do you call them, super chat guys, so that's all good. Lucy and this guy, thanks for talking about this one. You're welcome. What have we got here as well? Some other chit chat. Good to see you, K King. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you, Kachito. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family's well. What have we got here? Oh, you hate it, Dan. Oh, you happy here? Furry just deleted his Twitter. This could be a good sign for us as well. Crash and coming. Sure, it could be. Sure, it could be. Sure, it could be. Everybody's on out there looking at the minute to say this guy said this and this guy said that, and there's a conspiratorial air to the way that they talk about things, and with that congressional hearing and everything else that all happened, I'm sure people don't want to have too much notoriety beforehand, and I feel like I suppose he can kind of turn around and walk off into the sunset with a puff of smoke behind him, saying "My work is done here," if he feels like it now at that time, and all power to him. Whatever, right? Hate's a strong word. I would reserve that for people in a different league to Michael Burry. I would never say I hate Michael Burry personally on a personal level. Already, Miss Rocky Malone. Do you? Cheers for that, MHM PC. He'll be back. I don't plan on shaving again for a wee while, or maybe I will. Maybe I'll just shave all week. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. Queen Bee, hi, nice to see you. No more options for mustache rides. Yeah, no more. That clean shave though. It's clean, isn't it? Clean me right up. Right, cool. Anybody else want me to take a look at any particular stocks? Because otherwise, I'll just crack on and take a look at the ones that we usually look at anyhow. When Rambo. Holy shit, clean as a whistle, Rocky. D Savvy, shorts on mustaches. Right, cool. I'll just bring up another chart in the meantime. What time is it at the minute? 7:45. Let's just see. How we're faring in at this $200 level on the old GME, and what there was looking at us on the charts before. And one of the things, the considerations that I've had for a while, I suppose we spoke about, was with regards to what was it with regards to? Yes, this big old area over here on the this candle essentially on the GME charts. This describes the move that took us from one kind of paradigm, which has been fairly negative overall in terms of what a lot of people had been saying about it. It was very few technical analysts out there that, you know, I've got experience other than sort of myself and TradeSpawn at the time having any sort of positive, realistic technical analysis that I saw about it, and that was and the positive case played out. But there was an overall there was this malaise being trying to be painted onto the charts in a sense, if you like, throughout that period of time. And that was shown then when we pushed past this, and I was talking about kind of proving a lot of people wrong, etc. And that's good in terms of, you know, not nobody specific or personal, just in terms of the markets and how that happens. This is the markets are, after all, designed to take money off of everybody, not just not just retail traders. And then but there was this movement in the DMI in the background, which had this white box, a period of really low volatility, followed by a big upward move, and it kind of begs the question at times, you know, do we come back down to test the lower end of that candle or the upper end of it? And at the minute, you know, of course, we are within the bounds of it. So we're asking extra questions with regards to that psychological level that you're looking at there with 200, and as well this kind of the bear flag, if you will, kind of remains in place as part of the handle of this potential cup with handle that we've been examining of late. The RSI haven't actually taken out the neutral line here and moved towards the downside. Of course, is, you know, that actual swing failure point on this previous other area. So like closures below 200 at this point, or below that 195 area, or whatever area you want to talk about. It's 200 psychological area. You know, the 195, 194, whatever it was. We spoke about in the past on the way up here, etc. Jimmy was speaking about it earlier on. There's the, you know, I'm not a financial advisor, and this financial advice, and I'm not certainly not, you know, telling people, trying to be predictive about things. But it is fair to say that at this movement at the minute that we could test as low as the 177 area or something like that, and that's worth bearing in mind. And of course, if then we kind of resurged afterwards, well, that would be great. And who cares about the this thing? Now, I suppose actually, let's just spend a couple of minutes here discussing the concept of really what is a pattern in technical analysis. Now, there's a couple of different mindsets with regards to this. You've got this sort of Bulkowski methodology, which is fairly strict in a sense that you're looking to play the pattern for what it is in its statistical basis. And then you've got the kind of more human experience of communicating about with regards to what we're looking at on the charts, which is to say that you can convey a message more succinctly with the use of commonly shared symbols and narratives, if you like, with regards to the price action. So to describe what's happening just now as a cup with handle has a kind of really kind of statistical model that you can apply to that sentence. And there's also the kind of the human element of just kind of conveying how there was the double top, there was a basin down below, the volume kind of got a lot of people shaking out, etc. And then if you're going to be talking about it in terms of the humanistic kind of psychological, softer narrative about it, then you might as well include the psychology that goes along with with what the handle is actually supposed to achieve in that sense. So if you are looking at it from statistical basis, the statistical basis of what you're saying is that there's an achievement there, and what is that then in terms of the human level, and that is that to shake people out of the markets in a particular way, which is the key component of the overall cup with handle psychology, which is when it comes full circle back round again to kind of just express, well, are you really talking about the statistics of this thing and what the key areas are, and you want to boil it down to those plain numbers? Or are you talking about what this really means as regards to movements within markets and how this would actually then go on thereafter? Now, people, there would be, the ability to say to people that we've maybe having a breakout from a cup with handle and where the targets are, etc., towards the top side. But there's also then looking back the way when you kind of consider the charts overall. What it does is it takes an area which is potentially previously somewhat of a channel or even somewhat of a wedge here, and it then brings it up into a different sort of psychological schema around at the time, regardless of whatever particular nuanced pattern approach that you use to describe that next phase in the market. And that's what we're looking for overall here with it. And I'd be happy enough to go up there having fully satisfied any sort of remaining questions that I have with regards to the previous area where there was exceptionally low volatility, which is a different form of a shakeout for a lot of market participants. That's really where I am with that one. And AMC at the moment, then, therefore, are we going to be looking at this as having some potential to become something, evolving into something along the lines of Adam and Eve type tops, etc., in a market which is, done very, 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 very well, and has, of course, moved up the way in a manner which could suggest, looking back, that there could be, breathing room with regards to this overall kind of parallel channel here towards the top side for what sort of for money to move around. Give me this thing. Without actually changing the structure of where we are from a really broad point of view. There is this kind of ever present danger, if you like, along the way. No matter what way that you want to kind of wrap around your overall psychology about this market, and it boils down to then just like a few key horizontal levels as well. Like casting our eyes over to the left, 21 is a big pivot point in the market, which would see a lot of people then exit, and would result in a different psychology should the prices then come back up and not actually put in another high thereafter. You can see at the minute, the prices are still just more or less within this channel, and it doesn't result in any sort of panic back at this region again should the prices drop down to those levels and actually resurge back up and take a while to get there, etc. And then, of course, that's when that's just with staying within the bounds of this idea. But if you actually want to just sort of break the pattern and go into a new area, what we want to see happen here, of course, is for something along the lines of this to be some sort of pennant, etc. Now, is it like a diamond top currently? And with this high here, that is ever so slightly higher. No, it's not actually ever so slightly higher on this time frame. It's lower. No. There is it. It's not been on for long enough. It's just not a thing. But then, if you go down to something really, really low, then you can see. Well, no, that's never worked out as one. Yeah, I don't know actually. Like, it's just consolidating in this area. That's all that's happening at the minute. That's fine. And I'm just keeping my eye out for that 63 level. I kind of already said it all, to be honest with you. I could go on and talk about like half staff patterns, etc. and difference. No data. The stream will end shortly because, oh, excellent connection. Excellent connection, or it's going to end shortly. Right. Queen Bee says buffering. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know what that's about. It keeps repeating. Well, I hope we're good. It says excellent connection for me on the screen at the minute, so let's just hope it works good. That's a shame. If you go back 5 seconds, you'll probably be fine. Lol, put on Rocky's connection. Yeah, I know. Right. The hazards of living in a in a World Heritage Centre. They're reticent to dig up the street outside to put in fibre optics. Let's hope they do. There's a big project on outside at the minute. Subscribers to the channel will be aware of the hazards I've had outside recently, I suppose, when I talk about them rarely. Right. Kachio, good to see you here. Yes, of course, good to see everybody. I am not a cat. Good to see you as well. Is your wife's boyfriend using all of the bandwidth? Actually, yeah, that's what's going on right now. It's true. I'll ask them to stop when they get out of bed. Who has replaced Rocky with the beardless Rocky? This is FUD. Yeah. Paul, always learning. Good to see you in there, buddy. They're both adamant that they're selling post squeeze, whereas many GME apes are planning to hold forever and maybe sell one at 20 million. That's basically the plan, isn't it, right? Looking sharp, Rocky. Thanks so much, Ian. Good to see you. Oily Rock. Yeah, I can speak. Get there in the end. Yeah, same here. I'm laughing all the time at that joke. It's one of the best ones. The wife's boyfriend. Great guy. He's a great guy. Good to see you. Good to see you, Epiphany Jones. Nice to see you out there. Good to see you, Stefan. Yes, I know. This is post Malone. Post Malone. Post modern Malone. I don't know. Whatever. Let's take a look at some other stuff. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and whatever. Let's go through the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency land. There's a lot to be learned here, focals and lady gents, as I like to say here on the channel all the time. We've been looking at this chart for a while overall. And we'd made some little sort of comments with regards to where we could see price action headed. It has actually managed to put in a high there. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That is then so far currently looking like it might follow that up with a lower low as well in this broadening structure here. What's that going to end up being? Well, I wonder. It's currently at the minute. This we could see a nice recovery on this one. Should we actually take out the entire negative price action for the day? And then of course you'll be looking back up the way we were talking recently about 38k to 42k and why that region's so important. We managed to get up to the 40k region. Maybe I should have spent more time focusing on the round number aspect of it. No, don't be harsh on myself. Wait, hold on a second. We got a bit higher. We got up to 41,333, and then the prices dropped back down. I was trying to say recently that we're all calling this kind of bear trap territories. There's bear traps and bull traps, and bull traps, sorry, at the top here, bear traps at the bottom, and that's where we are still. Like, you know, lot of that. Somebody in the Discord was asking, would it be good to buy it at 38? And it's like, no, not really, unless you planned on like selling it, kind of thing. And I didn't answer it that way. But it's like, if you're planning on buying it and holding it, then what can I say? Because it's like, it's not, 38 to 42. I mean, if you want to trade it, then that's how you might want to look at that. And you need to kind of manage your position fairly tightly with regards to the potential for fake outs, because that's just ended up being what happened really. Now, I feel a lot more positive about this should we get a return back up above the 24-hour close over here at this low, but it's at this stage on this Bitcoin chart, it's maybe time to start talking about the like the significance of closures here, kind of, on the broader time frames, etc. It's not. What can I say? Just trade this thing at the minute. At the minute, this is great for people when the prices go up to a whole bunch and they look back and they're like, oh yes, I bought there and I was and whatever. But if you want to do well in cryptocurrency at the minute, it's a case of just buying and selling and buying and selling again. That's the way that it is right now, and it's not looking positive. There's nothing positive looking on the chart right there as it stands right now for anybody, apart from people who want to kind of manage their risk really here, right here, close. You know, take out that low at 31.6 or something. I'm not a financial advisor. No, that's financial advice. Screw it. There's a good enough edge in that if you're like want to go for it, but it's like not good. It's not good. Right. So yeah, that sucks as well. That's Ethereum versus USD. Just going to be fairly brief on this one. We've moved down outside that region. We're now at 1954. The closures that we're getting here are kind of not good. You can see here the 24-hour time frame. Just hit the little button so you can see it a bit better. That of course we're again looking at putting in a lower low. It's been kind of coming in here and tempting us. You can see fake out, breakout territory, kind of stuff that I kind of identified before. So therefore, you know, the closers below $2,000 at the minute is doing what we were talking about doing. It could move. It had that range of what, that's $800. So breakout there. So that takes you down to around about the sort of the 1700s again, where it was before. And then we have to talk about the other regions. You know, then we have to talk about the other regions. At the minute, it just doesn't look good. Now, okay, again, of course, you know, maybe this is actually just all just part of this is just a big wick, and it's going to be a big fake out and blah blah, but it doesn't look good, right? Um, this DMI turnaround here at the 40 point. Yeah, okay, look, yeah, maybe we get a bounce here, but who's buying it here and then seeing the prices going? Like that's my question: is who's buying the price, buying it here and seeing the prices going back up past 2,000 and not considering, you know, like about selling it? And they, like, why would they be doing that? Well, because you can get a 20% move on this thing without taking out your prior high, and it's downward price action. So when you're looking at that together from just a sane person's point of view, then you know that's what you're looking at there, right? Again, as well with this one, we have actually knocked that 20% off or 10% off in terms of the chain link price. Whatever came down to 17.6 over there, so that obviously that's crap, right? We're looking to see if we've got bullish divergence. Yes, we do. Just going back up the way, Ethereum with this low at the minute, yeah, bullish divergence as well. Actually, wait a minute, hold on a second. There's that. Let me just not be distracted by my own TA in the past here. Hold on a second. Uh, Yeah, right, cool, okay, whatever. Anywhere in here is okay for it to actually have a bounce with this bullish divergence that we're seeing coming in on this low, but it needs to have one. You don't get positive on it until you know, you wouldn't be able to get positive on it until what about that 2000 area, and you are looking to you could take part in a chunk of that move, but you can't get positive on it until 2000, right? And then you can. That's short termism, whatever. But looking at the Link USDT chart over here, you can see it's the same sort of scenario where the bullish divergence might be sufficient to take us back up above that 236 over there. With regards to Ethereum, we've not actually broken below the 236, and that comes in at 1850. So there's definitely an edge in here. Yeah, there is an edge in here, and you could get a real good positive move out of that. Could be a whole pack of punchy move, but I would be managing my risk in there. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, but but uh, there's a nearly 4-to-1 trade if you were thinking along those sorts of lines. And before you even get up towards your previous high, like in terms of percentage moves, it's ridiculous. I mean, I wouldn't like actually seriously think about it in terms of like I wouldn't do a move. I wouldn't take that trade. I'd have to whatever. There's an edge on there. I would seek it out and get it or whatever, but I don't care. This wedge towards the downside, if it breaks down the way, then it sucks. The bouncing off, looking for a counter trend move with the potential to get the bullish divergence take us towards the 236, and then maybe get us a resurgence thereafter. Well, that would be nice. That would be nice. It's not exactly. Um, Yeah, so you're still looking towards 21, 22 before you can possibly get positive on this. You really need to take out that 22, that previous high. Any sort of local low at the minute, even with that bullish divergence, could easily lead on to sort of more failure. Then it goes up towards 25 and 26, and again, like this is just this downward trend. This is clearly downward trending until such times as it isn't. Now, could it easily bounce at this area? It's not got it's got this Yeah, I mean, it's come down to where those bodies closed at already. There's a little bit of sort of sideways price action here in the smaller term time frames. There's the bullish divergence. It did cross over there. We're going to see a slight downward move in that. But if we can't get above the neutral line on the RSI and take out 21, 22, well then that's how you're going to have to manage your risk on this one. Is there the chance to take to take upwards of 15% off the table here on this one? Yeah, sure there is, but to look for 200% moves at the minute without acknowledging where we stand is obviously trying to catch a knife on a downward trend. And, well, I mean, this is how you would do it, but you wouldn't do it with your entire position because that wouldn't be sensible. Tezos here, we've moved outside of that range. Yeah, I mean, do we need to do this full downward range of this thing? In which case, of course, we're trending down the way. Can we get the resurgence? We have got the same set up. Yeah, so there's a are we in for a bounce here? Well, yeah, quite possibly, but until such times as we've taken out decent areas, it sucks. And on this one you're looking at big percentage moves again, like even just to get to a point of complete failure is 7.5% move towards the top side. So there's definitely an edge on here. You could trade this whatever way you like. Beyond that, 333 again, all the highs, it's the same as it was before. If we can actually take that out, then recapture all of that momentum, we'll have done a good job to have burnt off a lot of negativity from before in this consolidation period, and it would end up across all these markets as just looking like accumulation. And the ideal way to do accumulation in this sense here would be in this sense here on Bitcoin would be to exactly here with the bull trap, bear trap, bull trap, bear trap. It's just that you understand that there's so much fear in the markets for both directions from a lot of players that somebody else out there can control it. Anybody who's played poker before knows how that can go, and it's the same scenario as what you saw in this region. So does it to eventually turn out? I mean, this was accumulation on a long way up. Essentially, and what is this? I mean, is it distribution? Is this being pushed up the way? Is that what this is? Just the over eagerness, this bullish divergence, all just going to turn out to be a big lie. Well, successive closures. Anybody who wants to buy into Bitcoin at 29,999 and isn't really ready to control their risk at small intervals down below is taking on a big risk, because the more fun thing to do at that point would be to short it and manage your risk in the other direction, flip-flopping back around the way for any sorts of recoveries. You've got like a big chunk there you can manage your risk at. I'm done with the crypto market. I've done 4 of them. That's good enough. I'll go back to bring it. What will it bring up on the screen? What time is it here? 8:08. All right, cool. Happy times. Let's go back to the whole split screen doodah. Get GME and AMC up on the screen and see what chat are saying, and just chat while it does its thing for a while, because the scenario is all more or less laid out. $200, nice round number to end at. It's we can remain patient both sides overall here, and look to see if we actually do get something that actually kind of concludes this with a positive cross up the way. This is going back down. I'm not going to explain it all right now all over again. I already did it earlier. Right. Bring up the 15-minute time frame. The 5-minute time frame. And the dual screen. And I'll read the chat in just a sec. AMC just over there? Yes, it is. What's the time on it? 5-minute time frame on that. Oh, yeah, 5-minute time frame on both of these doodads. Right. Okay, so what moving averages are these on screen? That's 50, 200. Right, okay, let me just get the 50 and the 200 up on this one as well. So they're the same charts that we're looking at. The same, yeah. Where's the 200 at? Okay. Right. Cool. Okay, good to see everybody out there. Oh, shout out to Ronaldo Moreno who took a clip from our video the other night and put his music with better audio on there, and the timing was great. It's the same timing from the video, just laid out. It's good clip. Good to see you there. Good to see you there, brother. Vivena, oh my God, Rocky, your face is naked. Yeah, it's naked. Ah, yeah, it's different. Space Captain, I've seen some things like institutions needing to buy in or something. Just don't know if my tits should be jacked for that. With what? With regards to what? Was that with regards to what? Nobody needs to buy into anything really apart from a couple of things at the minute overall in terms of what we're talking about. So if it's talking about institutions needing to buy into GME, well, yeah, I read a couple of things about I read that as well somewhere. I'll have to watch the video again, but from my smooth understanding, an NFT dividend wouldn't necessarily be the MOAS catalyst. Yeah, yeah, it could be great in everything. It could be great, right? Everything could be great. It all could be absolutely fantastic. We don't need to have any particular catalyst in terms of the MOAS in the sense that from the MOAS sort of general principle, it's kind of like time, just whatever. Like from. But anyway, I see that everybody would of course be anxious for a catalyst, and an NFT dividend could be quite hype inducing. Of course, it could be. But I would rather just wait and find out what it is, because I also think that all sorts of implementations of crypto would be pretty hype inducing, really. And the innovation from the management team is fantastic, and the more that they do in any regard to prove their worth is fantastic in my point of view. So I'm just going to wait and see. I don't really care. See, the thing about it is that I let other people do the due diligence and rely on their expertise, and then I read some of it and get annoyed, and then I try to forget about it all for like a week or two, and then because because it's the conjecture and speculation. You know, um, there's it'd be great if suddenly the due diligence came out that was so watertight proof of everything and all the rest of it. But I feel like that's kind of been achieved by people at sometimes somewhere along the ways, and I, I don't. For some people, it's like opening up the advent calendar and eating a bit of chocolate out of it. And for me, I've just never really been that into advent calendars. How about that? Snark, Jamie meeting and appearance. Snark? Hold on, what's happening here? These potential positive catalysts are good news. We don't need to attach any particular move in price to any one of them. Yeah, oh, it's all good, I mean, it's like things like Ryan Cohen saying "buckle up." It's like, was that anything at all? I don't know, but I think if Elon Musk said "buckle up" about well, I don't know, not if we've seen in the past that, so maybe he doesn't have that level of influence quite yet, but when he does, then he might get in trouble for saying stuff like that. So it's great, I don't know. I don't like to read into things too much, really. Anyway, with regards to that, the Lego advert calendars are the shit. So that's a real shit. Okay. Well, Lego advent calendars are slightly different, I suppose. Maybe. Is it safe to say that GME floor is now 187? Um, sure, 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 sure. And see if it goes below it, then it'll be safe to say whatever, because I don't care. I mean, right, like, I didn't realize my audio was so low. I don't know if that even makes a difference. The nah, I'm saying that the floor at the minute is 177 if I have to like put a number on something, because why? It's at $200 is where it is right now. It's kind of like, I wouldn't have a problem seeing it going there. And if it does go there, then that's cool. If it goes like much beyond that at the minute, then I'll be feeling like, okay, so we need to, we're going to have to wait for another week or two for things to start looking green again. Whatever. Figure that out when we cross those bridges. But at the minute, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, $200 right now is 197 as the floor. I'm happy to go with that. So I'll just dive in with you at the minute and say, sure, cool. But if it goes below it, then I reserve my right to say, well, I kind of don't care, and I was kind of hoping it would go to 177 anyway. If you don't mind. Maybe I should choose one and stick to it. I don't care. Right. So anyway, wait, somebody retracted a message. I didn't read it in time. You wrote another one on though. Assuming the markets are looking for a long overdue correction, how can a trader steer through this? Of course, GME, but how, as a trader, would you protect your trading in a bear market? There's so many different ways of doing it. It depends, really. You know, like in a bear market, like it depends. Like you look for kind of uncorrelated markets is kind of the traditional way of thinking about it. The common sense way of thinking about it. There's a lot of people asking questions as well with regards to the crash recently. I've noticed with what's the best thing to have. Well, for quite a lot of things, cash is king, and then of course then people have this additional worry about inflationary risk, and sure, okay, so then but you do use cash to buy stuff. So like you like or whatever, and then but then buying stuff like that's pretty good as well. But then we know like what if there's a problem in the housing market, etc. Well, then buying stuff, you know, so when that phrase "cash is king" in markets, kind of, well, that's what's true. And then there's sort of uncorrelated things like gold, etc. But their performance at certain times is questionable. Depends, you know. It's like you might not want cash, so you'd buy gold and lose a bit less cash in a sense sometimes as well. Sometimes that happens. Really depends, you know. It depends. We'll just see how it goes. If you're in a situation where your primary concern is to not lose money, then you look for, well, you know, good performing assets at the time that you're making your decision and stuff like that, as opposed to necessarily trying to plan in advance and say, oh, this time it's going to be this time gold will be the effective hedge for me this time, because often it can be, but you don't know necessarily right now. Taking so long. What is best thing about it is taking is so long watching you and Jamie to pass the time until Moas. That's lovely. Thanks so much. It's a skill for life, though. What I want to do here is just why I was trying to be more kind of calm, I suppose, really, and just talk in a maybe perhaps more clear way today, is because I want everybody to know that there's a real solid basis for doing what we're doing here, which goes beyond simply hanging out until the stock goes up type of idea. There's more to it, and I think we all know that there, of course, there could be more to it, and that for some people they don't necessarily realize that at the time, and then they look back later on and they think, oh, I wish I'd known that at the time. I mean, that's a lot of people's like high school story, for instance. Oh, I could have like gone and done whatever, but I didn't, and instead I did whatever. Stuff like that. We all know what that can be like. So during this time, we've got an opportunity to use that motivation for financial literacy to achieve some semblance of traction towards your own success and independence, and hopefully ultimately self-reliance, and of course everything that goes along with that, like the resilience that you need to be able to make your own fully scoped out decisions, you know. So this is the technical analysis due diligence side of things, which I hope to be sufficient to kind of like inspire you. Wait a minute, my stream says it's not working again. Well, there you go. Is it back working? It's back. I don't know what that was about. Sorry about that. Anyway, long story short, that's what we do here. It's more than that. We teach people, and that's a really beautiful thing. And I hope that for the people who have been here for the last couple of years or almost, like this broader look at things, as the cryptocurrency markets have been fairly, you know, dare I say it, predictable in terms of the movements that they've been having, really, and we've scoped it all out, and that they're okay to kind of to look at all this extra stuff. You know, I was talking recently as well about with regards to like we had that stream at the weekend with Cosmic, and it was great to see that, you know, we've got in terms of the we of this vague, this inaccurate notion of this of apes, etc. Of course, we're all just individuals, but what I mean about it is that there's people that have went into this thing because they are they're just people that read Reddit. There's people that have gone into this because they've been trading for years, and there's people that have gone into this because they play the games and they understand certain things. And there's people that are involved in this that understand like lots of like political reasons or whatever. So there's loads of meeting points here, and what I bring is that technical analysis experience and hopefully as well the ability to deliver some lessons with it. And it's like a massive opportunity. But I've been brought to the community. So it's like I was talking about how gamers have been brought to this community, and it's like I'm not speaking as an original seed of the community necessarily or whatever. What I'm speaking about is somebody who's been brought to the community as well, and there's a lot of people out there that have been brought to the community because whatever particular thing that they do has this kind of amazing overlap with what's going on with GME. And for me, it happens to be this particular skill set. It's great because it's fantastic. The world is converged around me, if you like, as opposed to having to be the other way. And then we can talk about what this is actually all about. So I'm here to help. That's what this show is really about. By the way, I'm finishing the show at about 9, just after markets close. Like, I'll be finishing up the show. So it's a great time to get any sort of chat in that you want to get in about with regards to anything that you might like to learn about to help you on your own trading journeys, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Or just anything you want to talk about with regards to GME, AMC, cryptocurrencies, whatever. You're doing well, says Lucy in the sky. But thank you so much. Do you think this is a good time to buy into AMC or wait for a bigger dip? Appreciate all the info you provide the community, by the way. Well, you're totally welcome. Thank you so much for that, Suckman. Is that your name? Right. And I don't know. So do you think it's a good time to buy into it right now necessarily? Well, it really depends on what part of perspective that you're talking about from. In terms of this kind of upward sloping support line that potential for us that could be on the charts, just this idea just right here, and that if we were to take out the 50 simple, then it would be a great time to buy. I'm assuming though that if you're asking that perspective, you're saying what's the best time to buy any of these things. And in terms of like when people talk about dips, there's different words that they use to describe a dip. Put this on the logarithmic chart so you can see it a bit better in terms of where we've come from, etc. This over here, for example, that's like a dip, isn't it? This here is not so much of a dip, really, to be honest. There was a dip that we experienced last week that we kind of actually had scoped out in advance, which is pretty neat, in there at 37. To say that we're actually experiencing a dip at the minute is, I don't know, man. So in terms of like kind of going back down to the 5-minute time frame and then answering your question, well, yes, but it's funny because you're at that funny crossroads, no doubt, in your trading journey, where you're asking a question kind of based on the 5-minute time frame with kind of expectations of your trade based on the monthly time frame. And well, welcome to the family, man. It's cool. Welcome to the all right. So right, what else do we have here? Harry hoarding, at least for me, cool. That's yeah, make sure if anybody's sharing sweets out or something that Harry hoarding gets some. What did you say before? I'm kidding, Rocky. The best time to buy is now. Oh, okay. Yeah, the best time to the best time to buy is now. There we go. Not financial advisor, never financial advisor. Never want to be a financial advisor. Tommy says, hard to focus on the TA when the analyst is so handsome. Thanks. Let's see in this guy with diamonds. I don't like people very often. Nothing but good vibes with Rocky Outcrop and Trade Spotting. Well, that's nice. Thank you so much. Absolutely, Jamie, says K King. Let's go. You were chatting earlier on. Wonder what you were chatting about. Probably something great. Eric said earlier on, that's how you know someone knows their stuff. They can explain it simply. Oh gosh. I do try. You have to just make sure that they're actually not explaining something that's just simple to begin with, I guess. The Zig, has anyone looked into Pubmatic? Most shorted stock. Really? Very good fundamentals. Okay, let's take a look at Pubmatic. I don't know what the ticker for it is, but yeah, let's do that. How long have we got here? 35 minutes. It's like so much time. So much time. What happens on my camera if I turn off this little light I've got? Almost nothing. There we go. I'll just leave it off then because it's been given in my face. In my face! Right. Pubmatic, the person said. Let's take a look for the old Pubmatic. There we go. Pubm. Hey, Pubm. How you doing? Whoops. Skip that. Skip that. That time frame's this is not a very liquid market in general, so there's going to be like quite big movements on this one. It's a 5 minute time frame that we're talking about here, and it's not uncommon to see candles that are like, you know, stack up 5% fairly easily in the 5 minute time frame. So that's just what's happening right now. What was it in the back? Let's start off on the 24-hour time frame. And try and get the charts on the screen. So it's not old. It only goes back to 2020. Went all the way up, went down. That's a bit deep. That's a bit deep. And then it came up again without divergence. And the trend isn't really there. I mean, yeah, this got this head and shoulders potential like a lot of other things in the market as well. This is a fairly short-lived one so far in the grand scheme of things. This is the daily time frame, you know, but and looking back the way, you can see that this has lasted for 25 days, which to a lot of people will feel like a very long time, but it's kind of just kind of long enough in terms of that type of concept. If we were to say then 31 would be, and it's been as low as 31 today already, has it? 31.58. Well, those people had a good edge on the market, as you can see, looking to try and like hopefully kind of catch a knife on a potential move there. But we're also seeing the DMI crossing over. It's not in the blue zone anymore, you know. So the strength of trend is, but it's still high enough. So that's decent enough to be there for that to be a potential for us. Let's kind of just say that this is the neck on this one, and what if we don't go for an Adam and Eve or anything, or double bottom, or anything with divergence? So it's like fairly hopeful, but it's cool. We're looking here for $43. Current price is $33. So that's a decent move up the way. That would catch the 50 simple. Or obviously isn't a 200 simple. How long until we get one? How long until we get one? 133, another 73 bars. Uh-huh. Right, well, we would want to be taking that out. So yeah, so you do want that measure that measure move to work and to do the full thing, really to get you up towards that 43, and for any retracements that come back thereafter to try and secure that 40 area and try and move towards the top side. Let's see how this ties in together with Fibonacci. Not Mr. Pixel Perfect today. That would be taking us up towards that 50% retrace line. The neckline's right at the 236. Cool. Okay, so what you're seeing here is obviously this notion of this distribution at the top, right? Fair enough. We see this in various places. I suppose this would be the argument that you would see applied, for example, on Bitcoin, but not quite. You know, it's not quite, but you know, having dropped down the way again, you know, all that same sort of stuff. It's not a surprise to see this across multiple different markets overall. When people ask about things, what was that thing called again? Pubmatic. Pubm. What is this? What is this thing? Pubmatic. The pop-up public house company. Kegs and all. Draft beer and a foot pump. Right. Yeah, so what about anything else? Aye, that'll do. we've not got divergence. Cool, we've got decent setup, all good. There's cross that just happened here. We're going to say that's below 25. It's not like got the continued strength of trend as it had before. You know, in this region, you wouldn't have that to sustain. It wasn't able to do so. Coincides nicely with that general concept of that pattern. If we don't actually manage to take out the market structure here at $40 and push up towards the 45 region, etc., well then, you know, that's a failure of the pattern. That would be the being hitting off that 50 simple. So, you know, you have to look to that in terms of, like, you know, if you were just trading this thing simply. If you wanted to hold on to this and you're looking for higher moves up the way, then of course, first off, you're looking to take out that 41 zone, take out the 50 simple, and then you'd be flying towards the top side thereafter. Bearing in mind that overall there was going to be a pullback at some way along the way, and from this early kind of viewpoint, predicting moves that you know, that include a sort of 50% increase in price, obviously gets a bit of a fuzzy area, but you are looking for that to happen at around about that 45.50 area there on that one at the 50% retrace zone, $40.50 region. But then you'd be looking up then thereafter on this one towards $52.73 if you were looking towards a 618 Fibonacci retracement. That's a kind of handy place there to actually as well kind of consider this concept of whether or not we would see a retracement at that point. I actually think, given here in this viewpoint that we're going to have another 70 days or so till we see a 200 simple moving average come in here, that what you're looking at that point will be to see if we actually get another golden cross following on thereafter, having maybe had another one as it emerges. Something to look out for in terms of the position of this one. If we don't take out the 618 within the sort of the next 3 months, then you're looking at having a death cross between the golden cross and the 200 simple moving average there, you know. So that's something for us, or being in that condition. It'd be nice when it what I'm saying is that it would be nice when that actually appears on the chart to be positioned nicely, but whatever, just something to look out for over the next couple of months with this one. If it happens all very, very, very quickly, then fantastic. I'm looking up towards whether or not we see retracements back down below 45 if we hit off 50. I'm not a financial advisor, no, this is financial advice. Rocky Outcrop, could you take a look at UPST? Been paper trading it, and I think is a good example of your higher highs and higher lows video. Do you think the trend will continue? Nice one. What was that again? UPST. Upstart. Thanks for the question, T Brady. High, high, high. Higher low, higher low, higher low. And yeah, it's a really good question. Good one, man. So what you're looking at here is, of course, this concept now. Just pop up came up there for me. Looking at that and saying we're not continuing along here quite yet. You know, we have this sort of. Let's just draw some crayons with friends here. First off, how is this going along at the moment? And if we were to see a bounce here, potentially we go in for a higher high thereafter. And it's something, you know, whatever, like something kind of looks like this just continues on the way. It's kind of what you're hoping for. As it stands at the moment, where we have this is we've got one touch, we've got two touches along the lines of this wedge just here, just looking between these points, you know. So could we see that we actually come up here and don't put in a higher high? Well, that could also happen. So from a trader's point of view, you're looking at this and kind of saying to yourself, well, if any of these conditions are the case, and you're looking at getting a bounce at this point, then you're looking at potentially getting, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60% profit on this before you go on to even kind of revisit that idea of going on for higher highs, etc. This is from the daily point of view and looking at that with a broad term perspective. So when you're kind of considering these things, you kind of think, well, how strong is this trend at this point? And it's kind of clear to see that because it didn't continue at this point to go on up the way, that it wasn't necessarily as strong as what it had started off like. Well, that's normal enough. I mean, this thing only really started over there at the end of 2020. It's just a new thing. From the lows to the highs, measuring out the trend, you can see we're at the 236 just here. So of course this would be a region where you'd be saying to yourself, well, okay, we've got a factor of confluence in here to be able to then try and make a decision off of, having come to the idea that we do have a high, a low, a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high so far. And this gives us a bit of an edge. But what in terms of our, you know, our risk assessment, where we're going to look at the sort of the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats, if you like, what are they? And that of course is that potential for divergence. So we're looking to try and kind of stack up as much positivity just here as we can, in a sense. And you can see that there's this moving average on there. That's that 50 period moving average we spoke about already, and you can see that we're just testing below it, but it is in and around about this region. It's in and around about this region. So I could put on like the 55 EMA, and you can see then as well it's a bit clearer, but also it's a bit more responsive. Doesn't really matter. The point I'm making is that in all of these days recently, we have we have both attempted to break above this sort of little line and attempted to test this 236 Fibonacci within a sort of range in this zone. There's the potential to find an edge in here, which could maybe perhaps lead to a decent move towards the top side. And from a sort of the alternative point of view, if we actually did secure prices above 131, and you're looking at a 10% movement up in the prices from where we are now, then you'd be able to look up to that 150 160 region in terms of where you could maybe be thinking about taking profit off of a move on this one without having actually changed anything. So if I just remove that, what that does is it gives you the ability to say to yourself, okay, so I could look at this and think, well, we've got this trend on the go, and I want to trade this and just look and take an easy, shorter term position on it. How could I get to this zone? I mean, how would I be managing my risk? And you can look down to regions where you say, well, if we take out this 111 zone or so, then maybe that trade's not worked out for me. Is there a decent move? Is there a decent risk to reward? Roughly, thinking along those sorts of lines. Is that a decent risk to reward? And you're getting a where's that lining up? You're getting a 10-to-1 risk to reward ratio on a trade like that. So it becomes a question of what you're really looking to achieve in the markets. And then this is what boils down to being able to kind of lead on to answering that question about, well, I'm a swing trader, or I'm a whatever, I'm a scalper, etc., and so on. And this is just a move which is actually kind of positioned as a simple discretionary trader, kind of looking at the market and saying, well, here's a risk to reward opportunity. I'm not a financial advisor on this financial advice, that you could think about in terms of just how this would go if this was able to find support here, and it gives you this edge in the market overall. Now, in terms of the broader picture, of course, like looking at this and bearing in mind that we do have this divergence, this is the daily time frame. Can we see something, maybe on this weekly time frame? Yeah, that's the same deal with obviously this is going to be white in the background because there isn't actually enough periods on this quite as this point yet to form the ADX. That's why that's happening. Slight edge case there with a brand new product thing for trading. You can see here as well with regards to this low that we got recently, this is one of these little sort of concepts. You can see that just at this point here, there's sort of this we didn't see the cross. We're set up here now. It's weak. Okay, it's weak. And what does that look like with regards to other charts out there? Because this is why we're talking about this from a point of view of managing risk fairly tight on this one. Because what is this like? It's like when we spoke about that that resurgence just there. Do we have that higher high? So the trade, if you're looking to take a trade on higher, then where's your risk to reward coming in at? So if this is so that's how you could potentially think about that. But if you were looking and you thought to yourself, no, I want to trade it higher because I believe in this concept that we'll get higher highs, even in the that what we've seen here, while it has been divergent, for example, we've not taken out, as a result of this low coming in, we didn't take out our previous low, which means we don't have a swing failure, and I'm going to bet on us being able to go higher, right? I'll get around to that super chat in just a second. Thanks so much. Then when would be a sensible place, and how would you manage your risk accordingly for that one? Well, it wouldn't involve necessarily getting in here necessarily. You could be looking to try and trade with any momentum towards the top side to be taking out that 236. That would be a momentum trade in that sense. Or you could be looking to get in here and be maybe even managing your risk even more broadly, to look to an even bigger target and say, well, I'm going to scale into position. For example, this is how some people think about things. I'm going to scale into position So obviously in the example that I put up there, you're looking at saying that you've got a different setup in terms of your trade, because your risk to reward in terms of how much you would allocate on any given trade from your account would be different dynamic here, with a tighter stop loss in the sense of what you're looking to achieve out of that trade. So you would obviously have to be then thinking about it from a broader point of view, and thinking about then about the your position size and etc. relative to something like this, and looking in this sense for something like a 3 to 1 trade perhaps on a overall, which you expect to work out based on various different targets. Now that would, you'd be looking at this and saying, well, then on a market structure basis, if we took out a prior low, we'd also be taking out this defending of this gap here and the previous high, and all three of those things at the same time as taking out the 382 Fibonacci here would lead me to believe at 85 that we'd probably see the prices suffer, if we actually took that line out, another move which could easily be a 20% move towards the downside, followed by another 20%, overall 40% off at that point, you know, and you'd be looking to try and trade that situation within the context. Right. Hey Rocky, could you take a look at BB and use it to explain how to tell the difference between a retrace, consolidation, and the start of a downward trend, says Sauced Food Cart. And that was on BlackBerry. BlackBerry Limited, the publicly traded company. You gotta love it. All right. Anyway, people from the UK would think that's an odd naming convention, given the rules with whatever. Wait, there's this thing here, and I'd drawn all in and said all this sort of crap, and I guess what would I be looking at there? These chicken stretchings. Downtrend. Is that what that says? What does that say? No. Do you? No, I don't know what that says. Descending triangle. That'll be that. Descending triangle. Hey, I made it. Descending triangle, and a measured move off the back of it, kind of potentially taking us down as low as that. Yeah, that's possible. Let's get rid of all this. So what was the question though? A retrace, consolidation, the start of a downward trend. Okay, so the start of a downward trend, let's see, that's another point that gets the... Oh, thanks so much, Bad Mama Jama. Should we be packing my bags on my B-day to come play golf and watch football July 8th? Oh, cool. You're going to go play football and what? I'll catch up with that in a minute. So you're asking here about how you can tell when a trend is really started, and that is kind of along the lines of what we were talking about in that higher highs and higher lows video. There's kind of a great debate with regards to different traders. You know, I was talking about Bitcoin being in an upward trend from $3,000, and other people talked about it from $10,000. Okay, so it really, you know, does depend in terms of what particular parameters that you're going to put around it, and a lot of that boils down to what particular time frame you're looking at and what, well, the parameters that you're putting around to it, right? So here, in terms of the BlackBerry chart, let's just examine then this in terms of, well, actually, let's examine three things, okay? So we can here in the BlackBerry chart to kind of make this clear, we can examine a few different things here. So we can examine the price action which has happened post this vertical line here. I'll make it a bit more visible. And we can talk about it sort of past this point, and we can talk about it past between these sorts of points overall here in this sort of region. So we'll come back to that later and talk, and that's because this is the question, okay? And we can frame the question by kind of understanding the context of the question first off by looking on the same chart at a few different regions. Over here we can see that at the end of this over here you can see that we had a massive downward movement in the price of BlackBerry, and the prices then moved up thereafter. Various different conditions at the time, of course. You know, the thing that cannot be spoken about happened to the world, and then and that obviously then triggered a whole load of different stimulus from the government and blah 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 blah, and the markets actually responded fairly well afterwards. And of course, then a lot of people were long in it from here too, to try and squeeze people, etc. And rightly so, because that was very that was asking a lot of questions, that movement in price. And then at what point would you say that the things had kind of got into a recovering stage? Here you can see that it struggled to take out this little kind of previous lower high on the way, but we did have a high, if you like, put in a higher low, then we put in a higher high, still hadn't taken out that one, and then a higher low, a higher high. Now, of course, then you could say, well, up to this point, this up to then, say, over here, you could make the debate and say, well, before then we were actually still trending down the way, because as you can see, all of this is downward. It's all on the screen, it's all downward. That's obviously a downward trend there, it's on the screen. Right up until then, you get to that point, that line comes on, and suddenly actually you're looking at what is all an upward trend. So really it's a big debate, and the way you've framed the question there goes right to the heart of it. How do you tell the difference between a retracement and a consolidation and the start of a downward trend? If it's actually sort of three different things, really, to be honest, in a way. If you want to just boil it down, you could say that a retracement would have to kind of not take out the 1618, etc. See, now the thing about it is, it's like at this point here, we're trending right. Okay, look, we're trending up afterwards here, and on the screen, and it's an upward trend, and it has been. But at this point here, we're also below a couple of different moving averages here. For example, we're below the 200 and the 50 simple, and we take out the 200 here, but then we go back down below it, and we don't take out that high over there. So we're still in a downward trend. And in terms of the Bitcoin scenario, this is exactly how that went. This would be the 10k Bitcoin price here. When people were like, okay, so we're starting to change it, they would have been saying it actually though somewhere else, whatever. So it really depends, okay? It really depends, and understanding the nuances in the market, etc. Like for instance, us being able to look at this COVID low on BlackBerry and say this just so ridiculously low. This is like, and it's not going to zero. Actually, turns out, blah blah, bang, up we go. So this same sort of concept as well as kind of ties in when people want to use Fibonacci time zones, as it happens, because you have to choose like where you would be taking them in from, and it kind of does also lend itself well to talk about things from a point of view of highs and lows, etc. As you can see, like that's where I had that line before, and then this is where one of the vertical lines was lined up with that Fibonacci doodah, and here's another one of the vertical lines that I'd drawn in initially, and you can see the same sort of concept as well. Just funnily, as it happens, I just wanted to throw that in there because it was visually kind of became apparent to me that that's the way that I have when I use Fibonacci timelines, that's the way that I have them looking on the screen. So yeah, at what point here did we really start trending up the way? There's a few different debate points to that, and you could answer it using moving averages, moving market structure of the broader time frame. Now this is looking at this on the 24-hour time frame and looking at a whole load of history going back years, leading up to this, like a downward trend for a couple of years there, and we'd only been in an upward movement here at this point for a number of months, and then saw a retracement back down the way. So you could start to define it, though, along the lines of the market shifting around the way in terms of the defense as opposed to the achievements on the front side. And looking down here, we did come down past the 236 down to 382, but then we broke back up above the 236 over here again and actually got the follow through, unlike the previous times where indeed, to answer the consolidation question, we consolidated, and we consolidated in terms of telling that. I mean, that's consolidation right there, within which there's a retracement, and there's that retracement there, and then etc. and so on and so forth. So being able to tell the difference between those things and that it depends on how you want to define it. Okay, so you could say here we're trending upwards on the 24-hour time frame. We're trending upwards here and almost certainly all the time frames below it at that stage, and then by the time we got past this movement here where we actually took out that high again and we had put in a higher high coming in here, that was then of course at the point from this point of view where you could say, well, that's a low, that's a high, somewhere in here there's a higher low, and somewhere in here there's a higher high, and then on this, then we're going up the way. So now we're back over to this stage, and we say, how can we define where we are just now? Well, looking at it versus the previous trend, then you can kind of box it out, because if I just show us this movement up here versus the prior trend, looking down the way from a Fibonacci point of view, for example, I can draw this in and say, well, we came down to we came back above the 236 Bitcoin. This is how I started defining the change in trend, for example, very early on, and we defended that several times, moved up the way, and that was against the whole prior trend. So throughout this time here, despite the fact that we are, to answer your question, trending up on numerous different time frames, we're also conducting a retracement against the prior trend, and we can see a massive inflection here, a big pullback down the way at this golden pocket zone, for example, and this is the retracement against the downward trend as before, ultimately actually moving on very, very strongly up to the 1272, and in Stockland, that's a very, very common Fibonacci extension retracement point, so to speak, where you've not only have you retraced the 100%, but you've gone on retracing, if you like, but not really, past the point of your prior high, actually into all-time highs, etc. So, or was it? No, it wasn't. But it wasn't, because this is because remember the chart, right? So that's where we are, and then against this downward trend, then if we're going to then say where have we come from so far against this downward trend that happened just there, the 236 lines up just here. To get rid of some more of this off the background. For example, so one way of doing it is with the Fibonacci's, came up for a golden pocket, retrace back down to the 382, so we can tell just quite quickly here that between that zone there's obviously a big drop down, which means that we're obviously below the 236 from the low here quite a bit, and we're aiming at the 618 at the minute, so you're aiming for $11 on this one for your buy entry, to see if like that's the retracement completed as we line up the two of them, for example, on top of each other, and you see that the 236, all right, which means if we're below the 236 on, so you've got so you have a downward trend, and that's here, this is this downward trend, and the 236 here on it, which means that when the prices are in this zone over here, that they are that the Fibonacci against this downward trend is no longer valid, and you're not looking for those retracements, and that 618 movement up there validated it, not validated it, completed it. Okay, and of course, you're looking on down the way, likely destination perhaps at this stage would be the 1272 at 583. Okay, in the same way as before, so just like same sort of way of looking at things as before. Great. Now, moving past those zones conveniently lines up with retracement areas on any sort of Elliott wave analysis, which kind of renders Elliott wave to a greater or lesser degree more or less redundant in that sense. And we're right here in terms of the BlackBerry chart at a gap. So where do we see the prices being able to come in here and defend at? Well, right there again. So how many times? So if you've learned one thing from today's show at all, then the significance of this area is, I think, at this stage, having seen it now evolve over the period of on the show live so many times for the audience here, it's obviously a significant area to look to. And if we take that out, then we're probably going down to the 618. If we take out the 618 there at $11, then we're starting to trend down the way. What was my analysis before was the same thing. I remember talking about this 11 and 12 zone. I'm not like trying to remember my old analysis. I'm just saying it, and I'm looking at it from a completely different point of view, from the broader point of view, and saying, well, if you take out those zones, then of course we could be trending on down the way even further. Yeah, most likely down towards that 200 simple again at 859, and then thereafter down at 595. But if we continue to go towards the top side, then fantastic. And why would we? Well, because it's an upward trend, and this is just that's a high. Here we go. And if we keep on going up the way, it's just part of the trend, so whatever. I hope I answered that to a greater or lesser extent. Kate T, what do you say? Oh, I'm late. Have I missed a lot? Yeah, there's been a few lessons today in today's show. I suppose you've missed those. Oh, 5 minutes. Oh, great. Let's just check out the close on AMC and GME. I guess people in the chat can speak for me a bit more. I don't plan these episodes out because I do so many of them, and they're also good anyway. I'm such a wonderful person. Oh, aye. So, what did we want to look at here? That's nice. Tracy says that Jackson Hunter wants to have me on his channel. Where did you hear him saying that? Because I spoke to him when Jamie was doing an interview before they went live, and we chatted and said that it would be cool to do that sometime. And he seems like a really nice guy. I'd love it. So yeah, I'll probably do that with him. It'd be cool, I think, to do it maybe the way that he does those other ones where it's one-on-one chatting for a while, and we could just chat about stuff. Oh, he has to say himself. Aye. Anyway, thanks very much for passing that on, Tracy. Stefan S. Things about Michael Burry is that he's a hedge fund manager and talks to traders. He hears the rumors. He tweets said rumors often with his own spin, of course. Basically, Kenny G malicious. Look, I don't. What's the point in talking to somebody who's a hedge fund manager about anything? Right. So there you go. Woo. According to science, scroll up, Rocky Lol. Ah, yes. I'm scrolling up and I'm seeing lots of chat. It's great. Burry's Asperger's, if you didn't know. I didn't know that about Burry. That's nice to know, I guess. Damn tootin', I have diamond hands. What else? What else? Tracy said before, subscribe and like. Thanks, Rocky. Ah, thanks so much. That's awesome. Welcome to the family. Eric Summerson says, I'm sober for 2 years, but my goodness, it'll be hard not cracking a cold one open after I get my tendies. Yes, it will be. Have an orange juice instead. Right. My wife had her driver's test the other day. She got 8 out of 10. The other 2 guys jumped clear. Right. Found them would be completed to take them ashore. Thoughts on Michael Burry taking... Thoughts... Stefan S. asks, thoughts on Michael Burry... Oh, wait, am I supposed to be talking about the end of the day? Oh, there's 2 minutes left. There's plenty of time. Thoughts on Michael Burry making one last tweet. Oh, wait, what is the AMC, the GME price? That's BlackBerry. I wanted GME on the screen. $200. Cool, $200. Oh, he specifically mentions Kenny. Thoughts on Michael Burry making one last tweet and deleted profile. Kenny intentionally overheated one of the motors by tangling a rope in its propeller. The men figured anyone who found them would be compelled to take them ashore with just one engine working and their fuel supplies low. Well. That's it. Yes, well. The mystery plottings. I'm all rammed out, lol. Oh, that's hard. You're all rammed out. I'm all ramen out. Ramen. Noodles. Ah. I'm on to the Jack in the box tacos. Ah, right. Almost had me thinking of Ramadan there, which I think it might be. And if it is, what's that thing that people say to each other during Ramadan? What is it? Shalom. It's not shalom. It's Burak. No, that's a different thing. Burak. No, doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm with you. Right. Nice to see you, Scott. Hey, excellent. Nice one. Sailor Moon says, laughy face. Good stuff. Warlock for Hire says, if y'all need GME money, you can get 20 Jack in the Box tacos for $10. Yeah, I know, man. It's like some of the fast food stuff. I basically did a fast food tour of the United States once, and it was good. But I think it's over, right? Wait, Ramadan Kareem. There we go. But you think it's over, right? Definitely no disrespect meant there intentionally at all. Okay, right, cool. All my Muslim brothers and sisters in the chat, let's go. Are you a Muslim out there, Team Procurus? That's cool. It ended, yes. Right, nice one. Well, there you go. I was a bit wrong on that one. Right, it was last month. Okay, I was quite wrong. Right, forget it. Yeah. Right. I do fast food maybe once a year. Oh, right. Well, good on you. Good on you. Right. 2002. Oh, yeah, that's the close. The bells rang outside, and the bells rang out for a close. Right. $200. We saved $200, and we got 55.70 on AMC. So let's kind of just look at this a little bit. Here, 24-hour time frame, the daily time frame, time frame, and you can see that we came down to the 50 simple moving average here. Okay, there is of course the threat, the potential, the discount, the bargain for it to go lower. If it does find a bounce here, then there's also the great potential for it to just like fly right off the bat from here. Okay, with when the market's open. Be interesting, I suppose, to see how things shape out overnight. Looking at it just in general, if it does open up, then do I think that it could potentially open up above 218? Well, it could potentially, of course it could, but that would be the gap on top of the gap. So if we did open up tomorrow, anything below 218 as a starting point for the day would be a nice run up towards the top side. Hopefully that point, hopefully, bearing in mind, of course, the sort of significant structure that we're currently in at the minute. If we find that we're getting if we're able to move up towards the 13 points during the day, I'll be totally satisfied with that. But then if we do go beyond that point, that'd be nice. I don't want to start the day above that point and have to come back down and retest it, although that's also something I'm happy enough to do. If we see the prices actually they'll open up at 200 again tomorrow, etc., and then get to testing this thing a little bit more, then maybe we are in for that move down to 177, and that's where I would like to see support coming in at. Jumping from the daily time frame down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that there actually is a downward slope here at this point on the 200 simple moving average. So just as this kind of lining up the way, I don't want to see that continue. It isn't, by the way, it isn't. The sheer fact of the matter is that we're above the 200 simple, so every day that gets added on is a positive. It's just that because as well, when you look at this past 200 4-hour periods, then what it's done recently is it's just chopped off the whole January crap there, right? Which is something I've been personally kind of waiting for quite a while with regards to the price, to this chart, to the 4-hour time frame on this one, and on all of the other stocks I had a run at that point. So that's very good. So obviously then this is missing a bit, so then I had the big drop down to 40, and that's what's been expressed just here. So from the point afterwards here on the way, we're now 168 bars since that low point overall. So it's and between these 2 points there was roughly 25 bars. Yeah, so just sustaining price action above the 200 simple period moving average on the 4-hour time frame for the next 20 days is going to be really freaking good. But any movements up the way, just immediately see us just kind of pushing. It's good. This downward tick just here is as a result of that. Understanding why that's happening is important, because at any given time is going to start to pull back up the way for a while, so long as we stay above the structure here, because this is where the liquidity is. In fact, let me tell you what, I'll not stick the VPVR on. Right, you can see because of all the trading that was in this zone here, right, that this is obviously going to have a big impact on the old average. Staying above that price point means that we're generally speaking adding a positive onto the average rather than the negative, and that's kind of the general concept. The key area for us really in terms of like this zone for it really is staying above that sort of zone overall, which is fine. And $200 as the end of the day thing, yeah, great, nice one. And we've got potential to move up 5 to 10% overall is really, you know, start to get excited about things above 240, but at the meantime, you know, seeing movements up towards 225 could just be the flux on that one. Getting the bounces in here on the AMC with this structure on this one, but not looking, you know, fantastic until such times as we've really pushed up higher. We have got a low, a high, higher low, higher high, higher low potentially, but then this here sort of lower high structure. So we don't want to take out that previous low. Taking that out does signal that we could be moving down the way again, back down for a test down the way towards one of these lows. What's that, the 5-minute time frame? Oh yeah, screw this. Let's just go to the 24-hour time frame and give our sort of conclusion point here. This pullback, as you can see with that trend line, is kind of all you really want to see happening on this one for now. But if we do go down the way, there's the chance of us coming in here and kind of filling in the gap that remains on the chart here on the daily time frame and at the 49.50 area. So if that happens, I'm comfortable enough seeing that happen. The market looks weak and it's totally ripe for happening. But the fact is as well that gives us what is conceivably the edge here on this smaller term time frame. Sorry, not even on that one really, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you'd be better off hoping to get that 10% discount. I'm going to just be honest with you there at minimum. Nevertheless, in terms of the small term time frames, like the 1 hour time frame, we are starting to see that, you know, that there's a potential edge for us here, and we could push up the way. Just looking then between those two zones, you know, we obviously have come down to the 382, but so we're not above the 236 at the minute. So in terms of kind of managing your risk, you could do it above and below those two zones. Looking there, therefore, at 57.37 and down towards 53.63. And yeah, and that'll do on them. Right, cool. Catching up with the chat again, and kind of last 5-10 minutes of the show here. 1 hour 36 into it. Fan dabby dozy. Let's see, Scott, is there anything you want to look at, by the way? Let me know if there is, if you're still listening to me right now, if there's something that you want to look at, because you might have some something you want to look at, man. It'd be different. It'd be cool to do it. Shirag Agaral, wow, that's a good name. Man, that hurts. Wonder what you're talking about. The Zig, I really want to talk to you. Is there any other way to talk? Oh, you got a fan, Zig? I'm happy for you. Hey, nice one. Great. Shiba at 1 cent would give it a ridiculous market cap. Whoop whoop. Yes, it would. That's because there's so gosh damn gazillion, trillions, squillions of them. They've got more of them than you could shake a Dogecoin at. Hello guys. What do you think about Cup DeFi Cup? They are having a public sale on June 23rd. I think that if you're going to ask questions like that, you should donate money, because it's like an advert. It's an advert. It's $1 million. $1 million. So Olivia, that's how much it costs. Olivia Gerald. That's so great. I love that you have on balance a gender neutral name. If you could prove to me that you're not just in here to spam your pre-market launch coin or thing. What do I think of it? I think it's shit. There you go. That's my opinion. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know nothing about it. Yes, I'm being told here that it's $1 million if you want to talk about it. That's it. And there was other things. Yeah, that's it. Yes, if I've never heard of the cryptocurrency before, right, and I don't know you from chat, which is key, really. The key thing is to know you from the chat if you're going to do that. Then I'm not going to talk about it, because I'm going to launch my own cryptocurrency in the future. I'm not talking about other projects before they start. Right, Tracy, and if you didn't know that about me, then you're new here, and if you did know that about me, then that's fine. Right. Tracy, on Jackson 1619 AMC, the road video, Jackson 1619, what are we today? 2 days ago. Right, cool, Sunday, excellent, nice one, thanks very much. That's where he talked about you and Jamie and wanting you on. Perfect, it'd be cool to do that. I think the guy's got a really good spirit about him. I like him. Warlock for Hire says, what do you think of Ambo calls? Good one, thank you. Good. Let's see, start a conversation with her and see if we find out about what the price on Ambos is going to be. What is the fib on Amblecoin? It's currently sat at, I think it's sat at 69.69. The Zig, you would have a few of them if the token burned. Yeah, you would. There would be less of them. Great, nice one, excellent, sweet. Is there anybody that wants me to take a look at any coins that will have a chart that you're looking at? Crypto's still a bloodbath, says Sanjo Kojak earlier on. Yes, it is. It really is. Catface, Rocky Outcrop Catface, says Master Bilbo. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks, lol, says Lucian Sky with Diamonds. Probably talking to somebody else, but I'll take that one. Nabbed it. That's for me. What else we got here? What else we got? I've been eating my neighbour's trash to get more money for GME. Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. I don't have access to that, unfortunately. We've got like a bin shoot. I mean, I suppose I could go I don't know. I don't know if I can get access to it. But if you can, then good on you. I agree, Warlock. I've been hitting McDonald's drive-thrus because the only thing open. Right, great, okay. Rocky, is BTC going to 20k? I would have serious qualms about wanting. If you want to try and catch a knife on it, then you can. But if you're managing your risk on any trades that come in at that $30,000 price point, then movements below 28 are highly unsatisfying, and then you know, quite likely we do in fact see it. Let's just take a look at it from that point of view of oh, by the way, naked. People were asking me about naked. I had this chart up at one point because I drew on it the other day, and I thought I would show people it. There was this kind of concept that we were discussing with regards to this wedge. Could we move out of it towards the top side or the lower side? And we were hoping to see that. You know, there's a chance of us seeing that. But we've actually made it back into the kind of the wedge formation, as it were. If this does move towards the top side, that could be very good. Okay, that would be a nice little sort of end to that scenario. Was there bullish divergence? No, there wasn't bullish divergence on that 15-minute time frame. Oh, 15-minute time frames. That's why we're talking about it like that. Whatever. There's bullish divergence in the 1 hour time frame, just a wee touch of it there, and we've made it back in, and now we're above the moving average. If we can make it outside the bearish control zone, move up towards the neutral line, that would probably be in it around about that 67 cents area. Again, kind of making 67 cents the pivot on this one. As it stands, the lower side pivot on this one being around about 60 cents, which we've obviously come down pretty close to at 63. 60 cents, then we're obviously, you know, you're looking down to 57 again and whatever. So this thing's going to move in 5% to 10% chunks probably at the minute. It's quite volatile. We did talk about this, the volatility of this thing, you know, like when it moves, it can move against or in your favor by a chunk and leave you then kind of saying afterwards, well, where are the pivots? Well, the pivots are 60, 67, 57 at the minute. So we were going to take a look at Bitcoin real quick, and then and that's that, right? So let me just bring up the alls, Bitcoins, and we're asking, can it go down to 27,000? We're asking, will it go to 20k? Scott asked on this one. 24-hour time frame. Blah blah blah. I can see I wrote in at that point there. So obviously I was on form that day. Ah, damn. Do I like those lines? Nah, I don't like them. I'll just ditch everything. Yeah, that's easier. Right. So March to now, where are we, Scott? On the in terms of the overall, how far have we moved? Looking down at the low here, that's not pixel perfect, but you can see that the region that is being consolidated at the minute, or defended, or distributed onto, etc., it's not clear yet what the story is, right? But it's right at the 236 Fibonacci retracement point. And this is just like, you might think, oh god, you can't keep doing that on all the charts, etc., whatever. There's numerous different ways of coming to these same conclusions. Talked about them an awful lot of times. Just might as well stick on an extra couple of them. For instance, just stick on the Ichimoku cloud or whatever. So there's actually a whole bunch of stuff, right? So we can see there's a whole load of junk here down at the bottom. If we do break down below that area, then what market structure have we really got to support us? Well, going down below the 29k area means that there's nothing really down there until you get down to the 21, 22 perhaps. So to test 20k again, it's massively conceivable, and the way to be looking at that, and I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, is that we're actually at that point. So testing we're testing it now. You really do want to see the Bitcoin prices being able to break back above all the threes again, 33,333, or else it's brown trousers time. There's an edge on for shorting it until you're above there, sort of. Again, likewise, that re-emerges at 41k, you know, again, and over the next couple of weeks it's going to be 36k, you know, with 44k higher up, as you're going to actually spend any time inside the cloud. Is there a chance that we get a resurgence here at this point? Yeah, there is. We pushed outside the Bollinger Bands already on that time frame and came back up the way. In terms of the 4 hour time frame, we're tracing them towards the downside. You can see quite clearly the 236 lining up there, 34,000, 35,000, etc. Gives you a lot more breathing space. You can have that conversation tomorrow if you like, if we get above 36, 35,000. But it's on, yeah. Personally, what does this mean for us? Well, there's clearly an opportunity here for anybody that wants to take it to do an easy to manage risk trade. Just looking back at this entire section, going back to May, in terms of the zone, and that it's like when trading looks like this, then it leaves very little to the imagination. You know, that there is obviously at the minute a price where people have historically since May been buying it. And up here, what's that? Well, that's the price where people have historically been selling it. And between these two zones is where the range is. Cracking that down the way sucks, and the lower end of it is 30k. So, like, if you want to give yourself some breathing room, you're looking at 29, etc. But that's the story for us, you know, that front. So, will it hit 20k? I mean, sure, yeah, right. Like I say, you know. Yeah, I'm not going to say it isn't until the prices are at least above 45, right? So 50% up. Right? Let's talk about it. Let's revisit that when the prices have moved 40% towards the positive. At the minute, yeah. By the way, what that boils down to essentially is saying that until such times as the prices of and sort of, just to keep this fairly simple, these numbers won't work out perfectly in terms of the pixels on them and all that. First off, until the price is above 36k, we're in that shitty zone below the 236. We don't have a valid Fibonacci retracement, and until the prices have really gone way up above this zone, you're just coming up halfway up from our retracement. Movements down the way from there are going to look like, you know, like a downward trend clearly. Movements up as high as the 618, and then failure and coming taking this area out looks like the start of an entire bear market. If we don't get to 20, if we get to, so to say, if we get to 54,000 and then come back down to 29,000, then, you know, it's less a question of whether or not we're going to 20. At that stage, it's a question of, are we going to 9? Yeah, anyway, cool, nice one. So it's been a really fantastic episode yet again. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll just put myself over to the side here for a sec. I want to have the rocks on the screen. Yeah, I want to have them on the screen, and I'll just run the credits and say thanks very much to everybody for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. As ever, I'll do the reverse roll call as we always do as well, just as soon as I see them working. Excellent, nice one. Apple Blossom, lovely to see you here this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Scott, thank you for Denmark are 2-0 up on Russia. 3 points will secure knockout football for Scotland. We're bullish on Scotland win tomorrow night. Yes, are we bullish on Scotland win tomorrow night? Well, yeah, and haven't heard that. Yes, that's the perfect setup. Thanks so much. Calls on Scotland. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, yeah, it's a risky play, but the reward, oh my god, the reward's so big. My goal for the tournament, by the way, is to simply put out England. Sorry, always learning. We basically win the Euros if we beat England. I mean, that's it, right? After that is sorry Jeff, sorry everybody as well that's English out there. Not all the Jeffs in the chat are English. Good to see you as well. Speaking of which, Jeff Smith, Tracy Sauce Food Cart, yeah, he says always learning there. Nice one. Whoop. Team Pokerus, thank you so much, Rocky. You're so welcome, buddy. See you later, everyone. Thanks so much for that. Marty V, great stream. Thanks, Rocky. You're welcome. Chris Foster, thanks so much. Yeah, so that's cool. Kimmy Yo, thank you. Great to see you again as ever. Warlock for Hire, the Zig, Stefan S, Queen B. What else do we have here? Duro, A Alamo, Luke Spears, the Scott, Awaken, Awkward Loan, and so many. It seems Olivia didn't resurface after all. Well, sorry, I hope I didn't upset her too much. And yeah, cool, excellent. Bad Mama Jamma, fantastic, great. You actually featured over here as well. Thanks for watching. Cheers to the super chatters, Daniel, Rocco, Sauce Food Cart, Bad Mama Jamma, to all of you folk that subscribed, and as well to anybody that becomes a member or joins the Patreon and all that stuff. I massively appreciate it and all that good chat, and I'll catch you in the next show.